Hello, so philosophically, humans have not been able to transcend evidence. They have not been able to transcend atheism, what is right before their very eyes. And they can only view the world like Kant did as some sort of philosophical science project. Unfortunately for them, I am an adult who has transcended evidence, a person who sees the world for what it is meant to be, an ancient world that has been around not only predating thousands of years, but going out into space, the Milky Way. And people are not aware of basic things like, not basic, but more obvious things like that, stating that though humans predate thousands of years, they are not ancient as I am. And as a result of this, I have been able to see things that other people cannot see and that nobody else has seen before. Thus, I have developed my philosophy, Norism. And this video is a philosophical discussion of Norism and how I view the world as different than other people. For people are not able to look at their core of themselves as though something non-human was looking at them. So that is I who is able to provide this distinction for you. And what I am stating is, this video is more a criticizing of Jordan Peterson than anything else. Someone who claims to be a philosopher or some sort of genius when he's really just some schmuck who thinks he knows shit. Now, unfortunately, I have face tattoos, so I'm allowed to think what I believe without worrying about what others also would inflict upon me. I am able to see the difference and criticize anything anyone says. Think about something very simple. What do people on online internet forums do? Criticize one another. On any internet forum you can think of, but especially on 4chan, not something I ascribe to. All I'm saying is like, bro, just go on 4chan. Everyone's just talking shit about each other. And it's like, you're gonna tell me Jordan Peterson thinks he's more superior than other people since he is able to see things that are incorrect and wrong based on the fact that he has a history. I mean, more like a better reading of history or something according to him. He somehow knows more about history when he is not aware of the fact that the whole world is like a spider web that is unable to be understood by a human being. There is so much information and knowledge inside of every single human, including unintelligent humans, that you cannot dissect what people think and what is reality based on statistics of what happened in specific places at specific times. That is a fact, and you cannot dispute that. You cannot dissect what people think at specific places in specific times as some sort of per result of the fact of the matter that what has happened is actually a result of the human condition. A fact of what is going on in this world is a result of the human condition, not historical, whatever the word is for it. Not anything historical. You cannot blame history for what is happening to people. You cannot blame history for what is going on in the world. You cannot blame history as to why someone decides, for example, to become a Muslim, and then there are 2 billion Muslims in the world, and you blame history for that. When it was those people's decisions to become Muslims, not history itself. For the Quran is a book, and it is not a historical book on history. It is a book on reality. Now I'm going to discuss what it is that is all wrong with Jordan Peterson. So Jordan Peterson seems to believe that this world... Now, I don't believe the world is a patriarchy. That is not something I believe. Yet, I was watching an interview with him, and though he says the world is not a patriarchy, but at the same time, he fucking says it's a sort of masculine system, which makes absolutely no sense, since it's a failure to understand fundamental aspects of human beings. Think of an ancient woman. A woman who was born thousands of years ago. Now, does this woman dislike her role as a woman? I doubt it. I doubt the woman who was born thousands of years ago before governments or anything like that, who just grew up with men and women and they were just, doing their thing, hunting and gathering and picking berries and shit, and that person dislikes their role as a woman? I don't think so. I think they had a deeper understanding of the way the world works before all these systems developed that allowed people to survive. Now, all these systems developed allowing people to survive and things like also capitalism developed, and this is also a failure to understand capitalism, something I've thought about before. Capitalism is the selling of things. If you go back to ancient times, people were selling things. They weren't doing fucking trading at that, on the stocks. They weren't doing stock trading and shit. They were just selling things to people to make money. And it was not involved in anything about buying. It was about selling it, not buying it. And that is what people fail to recognize, that people were selling things in order to receive money, not so that they could buy things, but so that they could collect coins that meant something to them. Since why does gold have value? The reason gold has value is since people just like fucking gold, man. They think it's, rare. They think it has value and shit. When in reality, gold has absolutely no value at all. It's just a fucking rock. And people fail to recognize this shit. They just wanted money because they wanted the shit. They were not trying to buy other things with it. It was only later that the system developed where there was also buying and selling involved. And people are not aware of that. I mean, I could go further about this, that specific places in specific situations, let's say, for example, in ancient times, people, what was I going to say? This is a failure to recognize something. The ancient woman did not dislike her role as a woman. That's just a fact. The women didn't mind. They didn't mind being women, and that is why women developed in the way that they did. That is why people evolved and became who they are today. And that was only several thousand years ago, so evolution hasn't really taken place. This is also a failure to recognize that the world is still ancient and that we are all creatures in the Milky Way. And where does space get involved in this when you are not blaming anything about space for this? And the way the world works is not blamed on outer space. Saying that the world couldn't be functioning in the way it does if there was no outer space. Are you not aware the earth is in outer space and we're not just on some flat earth where everybody's just buying and selling shit and selling stocks? That's not how it works. We're not on a flat earth. That is the way that humans see it, but that is not the way I see it, for I perceive the world by the universe and the earth is a globe, not flat. Saying if the earth was flat and that human language is binary would allow people to see that they base themselves solely on the 0 and 1 binary idea that everything is about yes or no, an on or off switch. And that's a core failure to recognize what is really going on, and I'm just pointing out facts. Have you not analyzed human language and not been able to see that every single word in the human language is about yes or no, since humans had viewed the world as flat long ago? And you're not able to see, getting down to the core of the human and not history, what is the cause for these things that have happened in the world? And such a number of things there are. Why was it someone's decision to become a Muslim and not their decision based on historical evidence? It was their decision to make decisions of their own. Apparently humans have no decision according to Jordan Peterson. They don't make decisions, they're just born into some sort of patriarchy. And Jordan Peterson ironically says the world is not a patriarchy, yet calls it a masculine system as though it was a patriarchy, which is fundamentally wrong. I'm just pointing things out here that I don't even study history, bro, and I just know it's wrong. Like I'm just pointing out fucking facts. The ancient woman did not dislike her role as a woman, and neither does she today. Though her role as a woman has been eschewed by modern society, and people are unable to see that modern society is a concept as though the world once was. And the world is based on concepts, and that is what my philosophy of Norism is. That modern society is a concept, and the ancient world is a thing, not a concept. And there are distinctions between things like this that people are not able to see. Only I can see them, apparently, when I'm just pointing out things that seem so, based on criticism and thinking and realizing I've been able to figure out. Now women follow this modern society of a world that is so, strange and chaotic, and there's so much going on. Now I was watching a video about a woman, and she said she was sex trafficked and that she felt really bad about what she had done during her time being sex trafficked. Now you're going to blame her experience on a patriarchy, which makes absolutely no sense, Jordan Peterson. How ironic that you're going to blame a woman who was sex trafficked as her excuse to say, oh, it was just a patriarchy, when she was pleading with men to understand them and make more sense of men, since men and women have trouble understanding one another, and that is a fact. They don't understand the way that the other sex thinks. And that's why they communicate with one another in order to understand what is going on with them. And people are not able to see by reading books that they can figure shit like this out. I've done all of this I've been figuring things out for about 2 years now without reading hardly any books at all. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying is, bro, when you get down to concepts and facts of, human, not just human biology, but things that transcend evidence, I mean, would you say that the universe is all based on evidence and everything is about science? I mean, scientifically, you could say that suicide is a concept and that the suicide rate is actually a concept of the number of people who attempt to kill themselves. Instead, you say that the suicide rate is a result of the patriarchy and men abusing themselves or abusing other women. That doesn't make any fucking sense, bro. Where does that come from? You know what I mean? I'm just stating things that are facts and shit. I mean, you have to get down to the core. It's not just about the human brain. For you atheists seem to think in terms of the brain. And you think that all thought comes from the brain. You believe that everything is caused by the brain. Everything that happens, all the things that are done, everything is just the brain. And where is God then? Where is your God when everything is an atheist? Everyone is an atheist, and even the people who ponder about God are just thinking about it and thinking about something that doesn't even exist, apparently. Apparently to you, there is no God. Apparently to you, nothing transcends evidence or science, and everything is about the brain or physics or logic that doesn't make any sense. Have you noticed that none of these philosophies that people have developed have been able to really consider or figure out what exactly is going on? Because everyone debates about philosophy and no one seems to have the answers. Yet I come here with the answers to you, and you are not able to see that I am pointing out the truth. For isn't what people want to know the truth by doing philosophy? And by doing philosophy, they are not able to figure out what the truth is through their word games and shit? Why not just get to the core? The core, unfortunately, that people are not able to recognize is that this world is not about evidence. God did not make the world in a way that was prescribed for evidence, that everything is based on science and there's nothing beyond numbers. If you can see that there is nothing beyond numbers but concepts, something that is beyond numbers, then you would be able to see that this world is not based on numbers. Then Jordan Peterson says really weird shit about children that doesn't make any sense to me. He's saying that adults are just children trying to get out. Really weird shit like that. Saying that nobody is an adult when in reality you are an adult as soon as you turn 18. And you are no longer a child as soon as you turn 18. And then you must bite the bullet and put pressure on yourself in order to mature as a person, regardless of what experiences happen to you. Meaning that if someone, for example, like me, I was assaulted, but I took it out on nobody else. I did it internally, and I was able to figure out what it was going on inside of me. I am able to see that there is more to this world than evidence. There's more to this world than science or numbers. And that is not a falsehood. Where does the psyche come from? And you think your psyche is only caused by your brain. That everything you experience is your brain. That is a fundamental falsehood, and people are not able to realize that. So this is my criticism of Jordan Peterson.